no option. They had to act. Now you'll hear that FAST had a progressive discipline program, and that program was not offered to Mr. Smith. And you'll hear evidence that that program wasn't offered because that program required the plaintiff to work closely with his supervisor to work on his behavior and work product. And that relationship had already been destroyed. It was irreparable. Now that doesn't mean that FAST Incorporated didn't offer Mr. Smith anything. They did. They offered the plaintiff paid leave, paid time off to go home and take care of whatever problems he might be having. And Mr. Smith declined this offer. Now the plaintiff has the burden of proof today. That means they have the burden of proving to you that it is more likely than not that Chris Smith was terminated in retaliation for looking at FAST financial data. Now, as you think about this today, I want you to think about what you're hearing and what you're not hearing. See, you're not going to hear any evidence that FAST Incorporated had charges pressed against them, or charges were pressed against FAST for lying in their filings, their public filings. In fact, you're not even going to hear evidence that there was an investigation done on FAST for lying in their public filings. But you will hear about Mr. Smith's insubordinate behavior, and you will hear and even see emails that he himself agreed were inappropriate. Now that evening I got into that car accident. My father drove out to pick me up. And when he got out of his car, he looked around, and he saw the gradual drift that my tires had made in the grass. He looked around. He didn't see any deer tracks. See, my dad knew that my story didn't add up. And that's what we're asking you to do today. We're asking you to look at all of the evidence. And we believe that when you look at this evidence, you'll find that Mr. Smith's story just doesn't add up.
It reminded me of a movie from my childhood. In this movie, there was a suburban community. And this guy moved in, successful businessman, he moved in with his butler. You know, everybody loved this guy. This guy was nicer than every other neighbor that lived in his house. The community just loved him. But this guy kept a dark secret. You see, this guy was a vampire. Living right there in the community, nobody knew it, nobody was paying attention. But there was a little boy across the street who started noticing some things. He started paying attention. He noticed that his neighbor never came outside after dark. And guests would come in, but they would never leave. But this little boy had to find out what was going on. So he got into the house, he looked around, he saw a room. He went into the room, what you know, there's a coffin right there in the middle. And as the boy opens the coffin, it slams shut by the vampire's protector, his butler. The boy ran and he told everyone he knew, but nobody listened, nobody paid attention. In the rest of the movie, the vampire and his protector devised a plan to eliminate this little boy for fear that one day the truth may be uncovered. Now you see, we have the same scenario today with Chris Smith. Chris Smith worked for a successful publicly traded company who was better than every other company in the industry. They're reporting 90% renewal rates, which was the highest in the industry. But Chris started paying attention. He started looking into these financial numbers. He noticed that these numbers didn't add up. And the rest of the time he worked at FAST, there's a plan that was devised to eliminate him for fear that one day the truth may be uncovered. Today, it's my duty, along with my co-counsel, to prove to you, by preponderance of the evidence, that's more likely than not that Chris Smith was fired in retaliation because he discovered these financial numbers. And I believe we've met our burden. You've heard testimony from both sides. You've heard from Chris, a hardworking product manager, a family man. the father of one of our American heroes. He came to FAST with 25 years of experience. He worked hard. He excelled at his job. He was praised throughout his time at FAST, and he exceeded all expectations. You hear from Casey Emerson, who worked very closely with Chris in the Denver office. She had no complaints about Chris's work ethic, his communication style, no complaints about his results. She was even shocked when she found out that Chris was terminated. Why was she shocked? Because there was no problems with Chris. Now, when did these problems arise? After he started looking at these financial numbers. In fact, the very first time he had a problem with his manager was after, as Chris got on the stand and told you, was after he reported the discrepancy to the SPPT team. That's when Ms. Laws started noticing that he started becoming insubordinate, unprofessional, started using bad judgment. You've heard from Mr. Black, company's representative, got on the stand, and he said that Mr. Smith sent an excessive number of emails. Well, only 9 emails were sent by Chris over a 3-day period, while Chris worked hard over the holiday weekend on a presentation due to executive management. But Mr. Black doesn't know how many other emails the other members of the team sent out. And Mr. Williams also stated that there's no policy on the number of emails a person can send. Mr. Black also got on the stand today, and he said that Chris sent out inappropriate emails, but it was only one email. An email about spam. Chris got on the
Your
stand.
Honor, we specifically had the testimony said, the testimony of Sean Black, he stated that there was more than one inappropriate email, and the opposing counsel is now stating that there was only one.
Only one in the evidence, right?
It wasn't stated that there was only one admitted into evidence.
So your objection is it's mischaracterization of
Yes,
the
Your
evidence?
Honor.
I'm going to sustain that.
I apologize. Only one piece of evidence of an inappropriate email has been produced by the defendant corporation. But Chris Smith got on the stand, he told you exactly why he sent this email, why he used the language that he was using, and why he felt that it was necessary. Mr. Black also said that Mr. Smith became insubordinate to Ms. Loss, which just so happens to be after he started looking into the numbers. But in that email Chris sent to Ms. Loss, he was seeking clarification on the censorship that Ms. Loss had imposed on him that was not imposed on anyone else under Ms. Loss. So when did Chris's behavior start becoming inappropriate, unprofessional? When did he start using his bad judgment? Coincidentally, it happened after he was looking into these financial numbers. You heard from Ms. Williams, Vice President of HR, the person in charge of investigating Chris's claims. But yet, she didn't read all the emails Chris sent. He didn't read all the emails Chris sent because he was headed to vacation. In fact, he never read the emails that Chris sent, even when he got back from vacation. Ladies and gentlemen, the primary reason why we are here today involves emails. But yet, the person in charge of the investigation to read these emails didn't read all of them and claims that there was a thorough investigation. Now, just like the little boy in my movie, he ran and he ran and he told everyone, but nobody listened. No one helped him to fight. The vampire's protector was too strong for the little boy. Well, today is Chris's fight. And I stand proudly with Chris in this fight. Don't let this corporation get away with stepping on the middleman so they can make some more money. Don't let this executive manager dictate who can be stripped of their careers just because they want to protect the company. Don't let this HR representative brush employees' genuine concerns off of her desk and under the table just because they don't fit into her vacation